Dan Dakich, ESPN college basketball analyst, also radio host for 1070 The Fan, and kind enough to join us. How are you, Coach?
6'4", 6'5", about 250, trying to lose weight. I'm great. How are you guys?
Doing great. What did you take away from last night? Your headline for last night's draft would be what?
Shooters, and more shooters. Cam Johnson, to me, kind of said what the NBA is about, DP. I think that, you know what we don't hear, Dan? We'd never heard this. We never heard the term rim protector, and we never heard the term point guard in the NBA Finals. We didn't. And it's become shooters, drivers, and the game has changed, and that's kind of what I saw. You know, what is Zion Williamson? Is he a 3? Is he a 2? Is he a 5? Is he a 4? You know, John Morant, they think can play with other guards. That's what I took away from the whole deal, Dan. I just took away that the game has changed. The only team that really, in my mind, I don't know what's going to happen in Cleveland, but the only team in my mind that said, hey, look, we need a point guard was Chicago, and they got one, but used to be, everybody needs a point guard. Everybody needs a 4. Everybody needs rim protection. You don't see that anymore. Shooting, and more shooting.
But what's the one team?
You would fit right into the NBA. You would fit perfectly.
What's the one team where you just shake your head and go, I don't know what they're doing?
I hate to say this, but my boys here in Indiana, and I'm getting ready. I'm not sure if I'm going to rip. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do, but they take a big kid, and one of the things that I like to do is talk to scouts along the way between the end of the season and the draft. And one of the things that they said about this big kid is that he needs to be tougher. Now, if I'm going to have a 7-foot player from the Republic of Georgia, I want him to be a badass. I want him to be a tough dude with skill, because that's what I see in the league. So you already have 2 guys in Sabonis and Turner, and all of a sudden you're drafting another guy. Hopefully it works out. I'm going to talk to Kevin Pritchard today on my show, but I sat there and wondered, the team I thought that did great, because I love Cam Reddish. I thought Atlanta.
Yeah, I do too.
Did a heck of a job. I love Cam Reddish, Dan, because he can shoot the daggone basketball, and he's got size.
Yeah, as I just mentioned about 10 minutes ago, he could disappear. I could watch. He could be on the floor, and I didn't know he was on the floor. And I understand with Zion and R.J. Barrett, that's possible, but there were and maybe he just didn't know what his role was on that team. But I do like the possibilities of, I don't want to say potential, the possibilities of Cam Reddish with Atlanta.
You know what? Again, I go from the end of the season. I think the end of the season to the draft tells you a lot. You know what I saw in that? And this could be dead wrong. This could be dead wrong, and no one's ever going to admit it. But I almost saw that Zion Williamson and R.J. Barrett had a little click thing going with each other. And I don't know if that's right, but that's what it seemed like to me. And when you're – and it's nothing intentional, nothing malicious, nothing – but that's what I saw. And I'm thinking to myself as I'm watching, I went back and watched some Duke games, and you're 1,000% right. It showed a little bit. I mean, you got to kind of look for it. Maybe I'm looking too much for it, that kind of thing. But it kind of showed a little bit. But the one thing that I did like about Cam Reddish when I went back and watched some stuff, while he did disappear, he was not afraid to take big shots. He made some, missed some. That's what you do. But he wasn't afraid on that stage with those guys. So I don't know. I'm kind of big on him.
Who had a good night last night?
Well, it didn't suck to be Zion Williamson last night.
No, but team-wise.
Well, I do think Atlanta. I do think Atlanta, and I do think the Pelicans and the job, that Griffins did getting all those picks for Anthony Davis. I don't think I don't think you could have done better. I think that they had a great week. I think that overall, when you look at what the Pelicans are going to be able to do with their team, it's a versatile team. It's a team that can play. Again, I use modern professional basketball, DP, because it's just different. But I do. I think they had a good night. The most interesting night to me was Cleveland. You got John Beilein, who's a teacher, and he's going to have all these young guys. And let's be honest, it's a heck of a lot different. You can win and play with freshmen in NCAA basketball, but, man, rookies in college professional basketball, DP, I don't know. So I thought that's the most interesting going forward. But, look, this offseason thus far has belonged to the Pelicans, in my opinion.
Any way Zion doesn't work out?
I think injury, and that's obvious. But one of the things, Dan, he's such a unique body. and the season is so long. I mean, let's think. My wife said the other day we're watching NBA Finals. She goes, "This and hockey are still going on." You know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so long, and there's so much involved. Like people think, well, okay, we got a game. Well, if you're Zion Williamson, yeah, you got a game, but you're going to be out there 3-4 hours ahead of time working out with a guy to get better. I think he's got to streamline his body. And the other thing, Dan, again, he shoots it. I think Zion Williamson's the smartest player in the draft. I think he's an absolute basketball genius. But the truth of the matter is he doesn't shoot it great. And that line is deep. I remember telling NBA guys when Calbert Chaney came out, Calbert was great, not good, great college player, all-time leading scorer, player of the year, all that. He and I, back in the early 90s, used to just shoot around before practice, and the NBA three-point line was too far for him. It just was.
Yeah.
His stroke didn't, and I remember telling him that. And ever since then, Dan, I've watched that. I've watched, college line one thing, now they're moving it back. I just wonder if he'll be effective enough shooter. That's the only thing, that and injury, that I see, because that dude he's brilliant, crazy athletic, obviously, and seems to have a great personality.
Who was the best player you saw, aside from the Duke guys? Best player game that you broadcast?
Oh, man, that's a great question. I hate to say, I mean, the best player that I broadcast in a game was, I really like DeAndre Hunter. I really liked him, Dan. I thought he was great. I thought that Iggy Brasdeikis played harder than anybody. He wasn't the best player, but I thought DeAndre Hunter, when I did the ACC tournament, and you're sitting there up close and you're watching. I will say this, and this is going to sound crazy, and people aren't going to like it, but as a college player, I'd take Carson. If you're just taking college now, Dan, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not saying, but Carson Edwards was electric. Even when he was shooting 4 for 24 in a game I did against Indiana, the dude, I mean, Vinnie Johnson is the only comparison because he shoots the ball the same way behind his head. He jumps up a mile. Even when he misses, Dan, it's like, whoa, because he's not tall. He's 5'11", 6 feet. And, Dan, I'm telling you, his release on a jump shot at the apex is probably as high as DeAndre Hunter's. I mean, there's a video of him shooting over DeAndre Hunter, jumping as high as Hunter can. So I don't think he was the best. Like, Hunter is such a good, fundamentally sound player. But I'll tell you this, man, Carson Edwards, that dude's electric.
You think he could start?
I was texting with Brad Stevens last night, and Brad was ecstatic to get him.
That was a big name drop right there. Huge.
Yeah, I like to do that.
Huge name drop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I drop yours all the time.
Yeah, that's not a huge name drop.
Dan Patrick sent me a video last night of him dropping like 7 straight jump shots while I'm trying to cook meat, and because it's a meat Friday, so I'm
I love sending that video to you. I came into the man cave by myself in the afternoon, and I put my phone up to record me shooting jumpers just to let you know I was in the laboratory shooting jumpers. And then Dakich sends me a video of, I think you had a bottle of whiskey or bourbon, and you had the grill going in your backyard.
My son was home for the weekend, and we just gotten done, I don't know, jacking around or something, and I'm sitting on the couch, and I just showed it to him. I go, look at this fool. He's just drilling a jumper, walking back to the video, staring at me.
Yeah.
I got intimidated, I'm not going to lie. I ran to my room and locked the door.
All right, so what did Brad Stevens say to you last night?
Well, when I was texting with Brad Stevens last night, he felt he thought, you know what, he knows these two guys. He got Romeo Langford and Carson Edwards. He felt like they were a little lucky to get Edwards. Again, it just goes back to what basketball is about, the way it's set up to play. Explosive. Felt like, we all see him. We all see Edwards shooting jump shots, but I'm telling you, when you see him in person go to the rim, I mean, I'm not. And again, rim protection isn't a big thing. He was excited about having both of them, and he felt like he knew both of them better maybe than any guys he's ever been, since he's been in the NBA. Because obviously he's from Indiana and has so many people around, and he just had an assistant, Micah Shrewsbury, leave the Celtics and go back to Purdue. So he felt really good about their potential as scorers, and he felt really good about how he knows how they're going to fit in. It's not a guessing game for him with those two.
Good to talk to you again, Dan, and have fun this afternoon torching the Indiana Pacers.
You're the best. I think this afternoon I'm going to have a conversation.
Oh, with who? Who are you going to text to this afternoon?
I think I'll be texting with GM Kevin Pritchard, and no, I got nothing. I'm going fishing this afternoon after my show. I'm just going to sit on a dock, drink beer, go fishing.
You know what I'm going to be doing?
Drinking whiskey, shooting threes.
No, just shooting threes. Just shoot. You know what I do? I shoot lights out. I have an electrician standing by because I shoot the lights out here. He's on call.
Hey, can I say one thing? After that whole exchange, I get a picture from you with like your feet up, a little glass looks like bourbon, and a cigar, telling me that, what did you say? You're like first team All-American, and when it comes to that, you're first team.
Yeah,
I'm crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like a +7. Golf handicap when it comes to drinking tequila.
Goodbye. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Dan. That's Dan Dakich, ESPN college basketball analyst and radio host 1070, The Fan.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.